On September 4, 1989, Marie Bouchard went to visit her daughter Joan Heaton and her two grandchildren, 10-year-old Jennifer and 8-year-old Melissa, at their residence. She was accompanied by her other daughter, Mary Lou. After entering the house, they made a horrifying discovery. Joan was found beneath blood-soaked sheets in the hallway, while her oldest daughter, Jennifer, lay nearby. Melissa was discovered on the kitchen floor. All three had fallen victim to a brutal murder, with numerous stab wounds inflicted upon them. The youngest child, Melissa, had been stabbed so forcefully that one of the blades had actually broken off in her neck. Due to the sheer brutality of the murders, astute investigators were able to discern that the perpetrator had inflicted injuries upon himself during the course of the assault. This observation hinted at the extreme violence of the attacker. Additionally, they began to entertain the notion that this crime might be linked to another unresolved murder that had occurred just 2 years earlier in the Buttonwoods area. The connections between these two crimes were remarkably striking and raised suspicions among law enforcement. The earlier incident, which took place in July 1987, involved the gruesome murder of a 27-year-old woman named Rebecca Spencer. She was tragically found dead in her own living room, having suffered multiple stab wounds similar to the Heaton family's fate. What made this connection even more intriguing was the timing. A mere day after the bodies of the Heaton family were discovered, detectives patrolling near Buttonwood spotted a 15-year-old boy named Craig Price. When the investigators questioned Craig about his whereabouts and activities, they couldn't help but notice a bandage on his hand. Their curiosity led them to inquire about the injury, and Craig surprisingly admitted to causing it a few nights prior, while inebriated, stating that he had broken a car window with his hand. This admission raised eyebrows among the officers, as it seemed odd for Craig to voluntarily confess to an unrelated offense. It was a puzzling piece of the puzzle. Their investigation took another twist when they uncovered a bloody sock imprint at the crime scene, a chilling clue that suggested the assailant had left behind this telltale mark. This discovery further fueled suspicions about Craig's involvement, especially since the size of the shoe that made the imprint didn't match any of the Heaton family members. Despite Craig's youth, investigators decided to dig deeper into his story. Their efforts led them to find that Craig's account was a tangled web of falsehoods and deception. Subsequently, a search warrant was executed at Craig's residence one morning, sending shockwaves through the household. However, Craig seemed remarkably unperturbed by the unfolding drama and opted to take a nap on the couch while the investigators combed through his home. During their search, investigators stumbled upon a treasure trove of incriminating evidence that left no room for doubt. Among the discoveries was a trash bag containing several blood-stained knives, further cementing Craig's connection to the crimes. Nap time would have to wait for Craig, as he was abruptly awakened and arrested for the murders. Astonishingly, Craig displayed an unsettling level of nonchalance throughout the process. When it came time for Craig to provide his confessions, the detectives received more than they bargained for. He offered chilling and gruesome details about how he had committed the crimes. The gravity of his revelations was so distressing that even Craig's father, John Price, who was present during the confessions, was deeply affected. The shock and horror of his son's admissions were so overwhelming that John had to excuse himself to the restroom to vomit, unable to bear the horrifying nature of the revelations. When questioned about the murder of Rebecca Spencer, Craig made a startling confession, admitting his culpability in her tragic death. It's important to note that Craig committed this horrendous crime when he was just a 13-year-old adolescent. His admission sent shockwaves throughout the nation, primarily due to the sensitive issue of his age and the legal framework in place at the time. Under the prevailing laws, juveniles like Craig were subject to rehabilitation and correction rather than punitive measures. As per these regulations, he would have been held in a juvenile training school until reaching his 21st birthday, after which he would be released back into society with a clean record. This prospect was met with outrage and disbelief, given the gravity of his crimes. However, Craig's case took a dramatic turn due to a series of events. First, widespread protests erupted, with many advocating for a more severe punishment for the young offender. These protests put immense pressure on the legal system and raised questions about the effectiveness of the existing juvenile justice system. Craig's behavior during his time in the training institute played a pivotal role in the trajectory of his sentence. He exhibited a pattern of concerning conduct, which further complicated the determination of when he should be released and what kind of risk he posed to society.